After a near-death experience in 1944, Carl Jung encountered something that would forever change his life. It wasn't a heavenly vision filled with angels or divine light. It was something far more mysterious, something that shook him to his core. Jung saw a symbol. Not just any symbol, but one so powerful and profound that it haunted his thoughts for the rest of his days. This was no random image, no fleeting hallucination caused by the fragile border between life and death. To Jung, this vision was a direct message from the soul, a sacred key pointing toward the hidden truths of existence and what lies beyond this life. He believed that this symbol was not merely for him, but for all of us. It was a mirror reflecting the deepest layers of the human psyche, and a map guiding the soul's journey after death. Jung spent years trying to decode its meaning, convinced that it held answers about our dreams, our inner transformation, and the eternal self that lives beyond the ego. In this video, we will take you into the depths of Jung's vision, unpacking the mysterious symbol that appeared to him after his brush with death. What did it mean? Why did it appear? And what can it teach you about your own soul's purpose, your unconscious mind, and your path to transformation? Prepare to see life, death, and the soul through Carl Jung's eyes. This is more than a story. It's an invitation to awaken. While recovering from a devastating heart attack, Carl Jung found himself crossing the fragile boundary between life and death. In this altered state, he experienced something that went far beyond a dream or a hallucination. Jung later described it as one of the most profound moments of his life. A moment where the veil of reality seemed to lift, revealing something both terrifying and beautiful. He felt his consciousness leaving his body floating effortlessly above the earth. The weight of the physical world disappeared, and for the first time, Jung claimed he saw our planet from an entirely new perspective. The earth appeared like a small blue jewel suspended in the vastness of space, fragile and breathtaking. He could see the curvature of the world, the oceans shimmering like liquid glass, and the continents bathed in the golden glow of the sun. This was not a dreamlike blur. It was sharper, clearer, more vibrant than anything he had ever experienced in waking life. As he drifted further from the earth, Jung felt an overwhelming sense of peace, as if the constant noise of the mind had finally quieted. He was no longer just Carl Jung, the psychologist, the thinker, the man. He felt like a soul free from the limitations of time, ego, and fear. And then, in the distance, he saw a vast, radiant temple suspended in the cosmic void. The temple pulsed with an otherworldly light, as though it was alive, breathing with the rhythm of the universe itself. Its walls shimmered like crystal, and its structure was unlike anything on earth, neither ancient nor modern, but timeless. Jung felt drawn to it, as if it was calling to him, promising answers to questions he had carried his entire life. But what captured him most was what he saw at the very center of this temple. There, hovering in an aura of golden light, was a symbol glowing circular and infinitely complex. It radiated like a living mandala, its patterns shifting and rearranging themselves in perfect harmony, as if revealing the sacred geometry of the universe. Every movement of the symbol felt intentional, like it was trying to communicate something beyond words, something primal and eternal. This was no dream, Jung would later write. It felt more real than reality. He described how this vision penetrated him to the core, as though he was standing at the threshold of ultimate truth, on the very edge of the soul's journey beyond life. To him, this was not a mere hallucination caused by his near-death experience. It was a message, an archetype of the self, a sacred key to the mysteries of existence. Jung spent years trying to decode this symbol. In his writings, he connected it to the Mandala, a representation of wholeness and the unity of the conscious and unconscious mind. He believed that this vision was not just for him, but for all of humanity, a glimpse into the universal language of the psyche. The mandala to Jung symbolized the process of individuation, the journey of integrating every part of ourselves into a complete, harmonious whole. What Jung saw in that temple was not a religious heaven or an afterlife in the traditional sense. It was something deeper, something that spoke to the very core of being human. It suggested that life and death are not opposites, but part of the same eternal cycle of transformation. His encounter with this mysterious symbol reshaped his understanding of the soul of dreams and of our potential for inner evolution. In this video, we explore Jung's haunting vision, what he saw, what it meant to him, and why it remains one of the most powerful spiritual experiences ever recorded. We will uncover how this sacred mandala connects to your own dreams, your unconscious mind, and your path of transformation. Because if Jung was right, this symbol is not just about death. It's about life, about waking up to who you truly are and stepping into the infinite potential of the soul. Jung later sketched this powerful image in the Red Book, a circular mandala divided into 4 precise quadrants. To the untrained eye, it might have looked like an abstract or decorative design. But to Jung, this was no mere drawing, and it was a revelation, a blueprint of the human soul, a sacred map of the self in its most complete, unified, and awakened form. For Jung, the mandala was not just a symbol, it was an experience. It represented a vision of wholeness, a glimpse into the deepest layers of the psyche, where the conscious and unconscious meet and merge. Each part of the design spoke a language that went beyond words. The circle represented totality, the infinite cycle of life, death, and rebirth. The center represented the divine origin, the core of existence from which all life radiates. The symmetry, with its perfect balance, symbolized the harmony that could only be achieved when the light and shadow of the human mind were fully integrated. This realization shook Jung to his core. He believed the mandala was not just a psychological concept, but a universal truth, an archetype that appeared across cultures, religions, and spiritual traditions throughout history. From Tibetan sand mandalas to ancient Christian rose windows, Jung saw evidence that humanity had always intuitively understood this sacred geometry. The mandala, he believed, was a reflection of the inner self, the eternal aspect of us that remains untouched by time, trauma, or ego. In the Red Book, Jung captured this symbol as both art and philosophy. The 4 quadrants were not random. They represented the 4 functions of the psyche: thinking, feeling, sensation, and intuition. To achieve true wholeness, Jung argued these 4 aspects must be brought into alignment like the pieces of a cosmic puzzle. Only when these parts are integrated can a person move beyond surface identity and step into the fullness of who they truly are. Jung's fascination with the mandala didn't stop at drawing or theorizing. He began to encourage his patients to create their own mandalas as a form of psychological healing. He believed that drawing a circle with all its layers and patterns was like speaking directly to the unconscious mind. It was a way of communicating with the soul, bypassing logic and language. Many of his patients through this creative process reported feeling a deep sense of calm clarity and insight, as if the act of drawing had awakened something ancient and wise within them. To Jung, this was no coincidence. He was convinced that the mandala was not just a personal symbol, but a universal one. It existed in every human being as a kind of inner compass, a spiritual blueprint guiding us toward self-realization. He even described it as the psychological expression of the totality of the self. The beauty of this insight lies in its universality. You don't have to be a psychologist or a philosopher to feel the power of a mandala. Simply looking at its balanced, symmetrical patterns can evoke a sense of harmony and stillness. It reminds us that beneath the chaos of everyday life, there is an inner order waiting to be discovered. Jung believed that this inner order is what we are truly seeking, whether through dreams, meditation, or moments of deep introspection. But the mandala is not just about peace, it's about transformation. Jung saw it as a tool for individuation and the lifelong journey of integrating all parts of ourselves, our light and our shadow, our conscious and unconscious, into one unified whole. This is not an easy path. It requires courage, honesty, and the willingness to face parts of ourselves we often hide from the world. Yet Jung believed that this journey is the key to living a life of meaning and authenticity. In this video, we will dive deeper into the mystery of Jung's mandala. We'll explore why this symbol haunted him, why he believed it was the key to understanding the human soul, and how you can use its wisdom in your own life. Because the mandala isn't just about Jung's vision, it's about your vision. It's about seeing yourself as whole, complete, and deeply connected to something far greater than you can imagine. Carl Jung made a remarkable discovery that would become central to his life's work. He realized that a powerful recurring symbol, often appearing as a circular mandala or a pattern of sacred geometry, emerges during moments when the human soul stands on the threshold of transformation. This symbol, Jung observed, was not limited to any single culture or tradition. It transcended time and geography, appearing spontaneously in the minds of individuals during their most profound life experiences. He documented how it often arose in near-death experiences, where people reported visions of radiant circles, luminous temples, or tunnels of light. For Jung, these visions were not mere hallucinations, but profound messages from the unconscious, a way for the soul to express its readiness to evolve or to return to its true source. He also noticed the same symbol during spiritual awakenings. Mystics, monks, and seekers from all walks of life had drawn carved or envisioned similar images throughout history. Whether through dreams, meditation, or ecstatic states, these patterns appeared as if the soul was speaking a universal language, a language of wholeness. Even in deep meditative states, Jung's patients and followers would see these circular images spontaneously emerge in their minds. They weren't consciously trying to create them. They would simply appear glowing with meaning, as if whispering that something greater was unfolding within. Perhaps most fascinating of all, Jung noted that this symbol also manifested during moments of extreme psychological crisis, traumatic breakdowns, that when endured and integrated, often led to personal rebirth. He described these moments as death and resurrection experiences, where the old self crumbles and a more authentic self begins to take shape. In these times of chaos and darkness, the mandala-like image would surface, acting as a beacon, guiding the individual through turmoil and back toward unity. Jung referred to this as an archetypal image of totality. It wasn't just a picture, it was a map of the psyche representing the journey from fragmentation to wholeness. He believed that the human soul, when ready for profound change, calls upon this image as if to say, it is time to return to the center. In his writings, Jung captured this truth beautifully when he said, "It is the path to the center, a journey through the chaos into unity." For Jung, the center was not an external place, but an inner state of harmony, the point where the conscious and unconscious meet and where the ego dissolves into something far greater, the self. The journey to this center is never easy. It often requires confronting our deepest fears, facing the shadows we'd rather ignore, and enduring the storms of life with courage. Yet Jung believed that this process of integration, this heroic journey through chaos, was the very purpose of our existence. He saw the mandala as a guiding light for this process. Its circular form symbolizes the eternal cycle of life and death, beginning and end, destruction and renewal. Each time we encounter this image, whether in a dream, during meditation, or through an intense life experience, it's as if our soul is pointing us toward the path of healing and inner truth. In this video, we will dive deeper into Jung's discovery of this archetypal symbol. We'll explore why it appears during pivotal moments, how it can serve as a guide through personal transformation, and what it teaches us about the ultimate journey of the soul. Because as Jung believed, when this symbol appears, it is not a coincidence. It is an invitation to awaken, to evolve, and to find your way back to the center of your being, back to the unity that has always been within you. Carl Jung's near-death vision was unlike anything he had ever encountered in his long exploration of the human mind. It wasn't just an abstract dream or a fleeting hallucination. He believed it was a direct encounter with the deeper layers of the soul. In this vision, two powerful images revealed themselves to him, merging together in a way that spoke to the very core of human existence. These were not random symbols, but archetypes, timeless patterns that Jung believed shape the human psyche and reveal the path to true self-realization. The first image was the temple. This wasn't an ordinary building. Jung described it as a structure beyond time and space, radiating a sense of sacred knowledge and divine presence. It wasn't just a temple. It was the eternal home of the self, the place where all masks, roles, and identities fall away, and the truth of who we are stands revealed. The temple symbolized the ultimate sanctuary, a spiritual space that exists not in the external world, but within each of us. Jung believed that entering this inner temple meant stepping into the heart of one's being, beyond fear, beyond ego, into a state of complete awareness and peace. The second image was the mandala. This mandala wasn't just a geometric figure, it was alive. It shimmered and shifted its patterns, constantly forming and reforming like a cosmic dance. To Jung, the mandala represented psychological integration, the process of bringing together all parts of the self, the conscious and unconscious, the shadow and the light, into one harmonious whole. He saw the mandala as the blueprint of the soul, a map of the universe within us, reflecting both our inner order and the greater order of the cosmos. For Jung, these two symbols, temple and mandala, were deeply interconnected. Together, they seemed to speak directly to him, not in words, but in a profound inner knowing. They told him, "You are more than your name, your past, or even your body. You are the center waiting to be remembered." This message struck Jung with extraordinary clarity. All his life, he had studied dreams, myths, and symbols from every culture, trying to understand the hidden forces that shape human consciousness. But here, in this moment of altered awareness, he wasn't just analyzing a symbol, he was living it. He felt the truth of it in every fiber of his being. He realized that the self, the true center of who we are, is not something we create, but something we uncover, something that has always been there waiting for us to return. The temple, a portal to the self, Jung described the temple as more than a symbol of sacred knowledge. It was a portal. It stood as a representation of the eternal home of the soul, a place beyond death and beyond the limits of the physical world. He believed that such imagery appears during moments when the soul is preparing for profound transformation, during near-death experiences, spiritual awakenings, or deep meditative states. The temple is the archetype of ultimate wisdom, the place where all opposites unite and where we remember our true origin. The mandala, cosmic design and wholeness. The mandala, on the other hand, was the visual language of the self. Its perfect symmetry and circular design symbolized wholeness and unity. Jung wrote extensively about how the mandala appears across cultures, whether in Tibetan sand paintings, Native American medicine wheels, or Gothic rose windows. He believed that when this image emerges in dreams or visions, it is the psyche's way of guiding us back to our center, showing us that healing and transformation require integration of all parts of who we are. To Jung, the mandala was not just a symbol to observe, it was a tool for inner work. He encouraged his patients to draw their own mandalas as a way of exploring their unconscious minds. Through this process, people often reported profound insights and a sense of deep alignment, as though they had connected with something ancient and eternal within themselves. The message, remembering the center, what Jung learned from his vision, is something he believed was universal, that we are far more than the stories we tell about ourselves. We are not defined by our past, our name, or even our physical form. At our core, we are the self, a divine spark of consciousness that remains whole even when the surface of our lives feels broken or fragmented. The temple and the mandala were not just images, they were reminders of this deeper truth. It is the path to the center Jung wrote, a journey through the chaos into unity. This journey to the center is not an easy one. It requires confronting our shadows, the parts of ourselves we try to hide or deny. It means moving through inner chaos, facing pain, fear, and uncertainty. But on the other side of this journey lies unity and experience of being fully awake, fully alive, and fully connected to both the inner and outer universe. What this means for you. Jung's vision was not meant for him alone. He believed that every person at some point in life is called to this journey. The symbols of the temple and the mandala appear in different ways, through dreams, moments of crisis, or flashes of insight. But their purpose is always the same, to guide us back to our true center. When you encounter these symbols, they are invitations. They are signs that your soul is ready to evolve, to shed the false layers of identity, and step into a more authentic way of being. They remind you that within you lies a source of wisdom, strength, and peace that nothing in the outside world can take away. Conclusion: the eternal journey. In this video, we explore how Jung's vision of the temple and mandala can help you navigate your own inner landscape. These symbols are not relics of the past. They are living archetypes present in your own mind and heart. They remind us that life is not just about surviving or achieving. It's about remembering who we truly are. Carl Jung's experience teaches us that the path to the center is not about becoming someone new, but about awakening to the wholeness that has always been within you. The temple is your sacred inner space. The mandala is your map. And the journey is waiting for you to take the first step. Throughout his life, Carl Jung was fascinated by circles, wheels, and spheres. These shapes appeared again and again, not only in his art, but also in his dreams and visions. They seemed to come from a place beyond logic, beyond the conscious mind. To Jung, these recurring symbols weren't just products of imagination. He believed they came directly from the soul, emerging as messages of guidance, signs of confirmation, and invitations to go deeper into the mysteries of the self. Jung often spoke about how these circular forms held a special power. They represented wholeness, eternity, and the unity of all opposites. In his journals and in the Red Book, Jung sketched countless mandalas, intricate symmetrical designs that he believed mapped the architecture of the unconscious mind. These were not just drawings. They were windows into a deeper dimension of reality. Jung's lifelong study of these symbols led him to believe that the soul speaks in archetypes, timeless images that transcend culture and language. The circle in particular fascinated him because it appeared universally in religious art, spiritual rituals, and even in spontaneous imagery from his patients' dreams. He saw it as a reflection of the self in its purest form and the integrated whole that lies beyond the fragmented layers of ego. But Jung's final vision would bring this truth into even sharper focus. Near the end of his life, after his near-death experience, and during moments of deep introspection, Jung received what he considered to be the clearest and most powerful message of all. He had spent years studying the symbols, painting them, and interpreting their meaning. But this time, the message wasn't just about the circle or the mandala. It wasn't about a symbol outside of himself. The message was this: you are the symbol. You always were. This realization was both humbling and liberating. It meant that the search for meaning, the exploration of dreams, myths, and visions, all pointed back to a single truth, that the soul itself is the living symbol. The temple, the mandala, the circle, they were mirrors of what we already are at the deepest level. Jung understood that all of us, consciously or unconsciously, are drawn toward this truth. Life itself is a journey of remembering. We chase external validation. We identify with our names, roles, and achievements. But beneath all of that lies the self-complete, eternal, and unbroken. When Jung wrote about individuation, the process of becoming whole, he was pointing to this same realization that we are not trying to become something new, but to remember what we have always been. The power of the circle. In Jung's work, throughout his career, Jung saw the circle as more than just a shape. It was a living metaphor for the psyche's journey toward unity. He believed that when people draw circles or dream of wheels and spheres, it's not random. It's the unconscious mind trying to communicate that healing, balance, and integration are needed. He described the mandala as a psychological expression of the totality of the self. By painting these images, Jung felt he was mapping his inner world, bringing the unconscious into the light of awareness. Each line and curve was a step toward understanding the unity of his own being. The final vision. Becoming the symbol. In his final vision, Jung no longer saw the circle as separate from himself. He realized that the very essence of who we are, the soul, is both the creator and the symbol. We are not outside the design trying to decode it. We are the design. The mandala we seek, the wholeness we long for, is already within us. This message can be both challenging and deeply empowering. It asks us to stop searching outside of ourselves for meaning, and instead recognize that the answers we seek are already present, embedded in our very being. Jung's insight encourages us to embrace both the light and the shadow within us, because wholeness comes from integration, not from denial. What this means for us. Jung's journey with these symbols offers a profound lesson for anyone seeking clarity or transformation. The circles, wheels, and mandalas that appear in our dreams or meditations are not abstract. They are invitations to remember who we truly are. When we feel lost or fragmented, when life feels chaotic, these symbols remind us of the eternal center within. They guide us back to balance, showing us that our soul has always known the way, even when our conscious mind is unsure. Conclusion. Jung's life and work were a testament to the power of symbols to reveal the hidden truths of the psyche. His final message, "You are the symbol. You always were," is perhaps the most powerful of all. It reminds us that the journey of self-discovery is not about adding something new, but about stripping away illusions until we remember our true nature. In this video, we explore how Jung's visions of circles and mandalas can help you see yourself differently. These images are not distant or mystical. They are reflections of your own inner world. They are proof that deep within you lies a complete, unshakable self waiting to be remembered. So what does this mysterious symbol really mean? It's far more than a simple pattern or design. This symbol is a mirror reflecting who you truly are, beneath all the roles, names, and stories you've carried throughout life. It's a compass guiding you back to the center of your being, the part of you that is eternal, unshaken, and whole. Carl Jung never saw the afterlife as a distant place filled with golden gates or endless clouds. Instead, he saw it as a return to the self, to the totality of who we are, and to the truth buried beneath layers of ego and fear. This symbol, radiant and alive, isn't just for Jung. It is for anyone who is ready to wake up, to remember the deeper essence of their soul. Maybe you've glimpsed it before in dreams, in art, or during a moment of deep meditation. If so, it may not be coincidence. Have you ever seen this symbol in your own life? Comment below and share your experience. Your story could inspire someone else. And if you feel drawn to this kind of soul-level truth, subscribe, because the center of your being is calling, and it's time to answer.